Hi, and welcome to Spite Incorporated with your host, Nace Flaw. And got a couple questions today. Over the course since the last recording, I have a couple questions to go over today. The first one comes from a wonderful lady over at the Pen Writers group on Facebook. And she asked after a recent blog post about owning your domain, she asked, what are my feelings about WordPress? And to answer that, I dig it. I love WordPress. I love that it exists. I love that I now have a provider that allows it. Because for a while there, I was going with a very small company based out of Toronto that basically gave me some space. They gave me some bandwidth. I didn't bother them. They didn't bother me. But at the same time, they didn't allow a lot of database activity, including WordPress, because WordPress requires a SQL database in the back end. Now, you don't need to know SQL. You don't need to know any database work, really. And that's one of the joys of WordPress. You can go into it, you can pick a theme and pick a couple settings, and bam, you have a site. It may look like every other one, but you have it. And it's fairly simple. Or it can get real complicated real quick, because even if you know some HTML, well, you start adding some widgets, and you start adding some plugins, and then you start noticing the limitations of the theme that you picked. And well, what if I can do this? And you start experimenting with PHP. Then you notice I didn't realize it at first. The entire thing is based on SQL. Like, well, shoot, I know SQL. I can do stuff with that. And it can spiral out of control very quickly. In a fun way for somebody that likes code. I mean, it's fun for me. Sometimes infuriating when there's one thing that won't change for some reason, and you just can't find that piece of code. But in the same way, there's kind of a fun kind of hunt involved there. The thing with that, though, it turns out there are only some of the bigger domain providers that actually allow you to do that. One of them is GoDaddy, which they really need to start paying me for all the publicity I give them. Bluehost is another one, and there's a couple others that I can't vouch for. I've never dealt with. I don't really want to talk about. But what I would recommend against is using WordPress, because I looked into it a bit. I mean, WordPress, the platform, is free. Of course, you'll have to get a domain through somebody and hosting through someone, and that'll cost money. But after all that, WordPress, the whole platform, is free to install and tweak as you like. There's a whole community that tweaks it and works with it and tries to make it better. The problem lies in actually getting a domain through WordPress.org or WordPress.com. Same company. They just have different kind of branches there. Because you can get a free blog from WordPress.com. You can't install plugins and widgets and stuff, but you can still get something to get you going. But if you want to move up to your own domain, they cost a lot of money. And they don't have the space and the bandwidth that the other providers give you for much cheaper. So I don't really see the point in going with them. Everyone kind of promises 99% uptime, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, they're a great group. They deserve money. Donate to them, sure. But I wouldn't suggest hosting with them. That's me. It just, maybe they provide a level of support. They probably provide a level of support that others don't. If you called up GoDaddy, I'm not sure if they would be able to walk you through WordPress issues. Whereas WordPress, if you host with them, they may be able to. I don't know. The other question I had that I received is a little more indirect. I have one of the sites that I run is Philly GI, which is at phillygoth.net, and a promoter in the Philly region contacted me asking if I would like some tickets to a concert that's going on, and I told him the truth as a promotional item, because he didn't specify. I said as a promotional item, I would love it. I could really have a lot of fun with that. As something personal, that would require me taking time off from work. I'd probably have to find a partner, because I'm not sure how thrilled the wife would be going out to Lancaster to see this band. And he said, "Hey, do whatever you want with them." So I actually got today a package of KMFDM tickets, and I started to talk to the wife about what I wanted to do with them, and she said, "Don't just do like Twitter retweets or something like that." I'm not sure what her reasoning was for not doing something like that. I think she said it just seemed unprofessional. Like, okay, so what would you suggest? And she provided me something called promosimple.com, which, man, that was perfect. You can go on there, you do some signing up, and once you sign up, fill out all your information. It's fairly simple to create a contest, and you can put in the parameters and then the rules of it and the timeline, and etc., etc. And then there's also a WordPress plugin that you can install on your WordPress site that easily incorporates the countdown and the whole contest thing into your site. They also have it set up so you have requirements. Now this is I don't want to data mine. I have no interest in data mining, but if you wanted to get somebody's location and demographics, if you wanted to get all their social media, you can make that a requirement, or you can do what I did and make it an option. So if you sign up through email or Facebook, you get one chance at the prize, which is concert tickets. If you then go on to like the Philly GI Facebook page, and you follow the Philly account, Philly_GI on Twitter, it gives you extra chances. And so I told the wife this, and she goes, why are you so obsessed with followers and likes? What do they get you? And just kind of left me dumbstruck, because that's just what I do. She and I have done projects in the past. We first step, set up a Facebook page. Second step, set up a Twitter account. That just seems standard. So I was dumbfounded, but at the same time, it's a very valid question. So why do we set up the Twitter account? Why do we set up a Facebook account or a page and get people to like and follow us? Well, basically to get more people to do it. With the long-term goal, and of course we just want more and more and more, with the long-term goal of when we have something to sell or something to persuade people with, they already have connection to us, and they also can share our announcements very quickly. So it's kind of a two-way street. We want, on the one hand, we want them to come to us to buy stuff. On the other hand, we also want them to take our information and spread it. And the larger the initial network we have, the more it's going to spread. And the larger the initial interest we have, the more interest there may be in sales, because followers do not always equate to sales. You can have millions of followers, but that doesn't necessarily mean that people buy stuff. The president has millions of followers on Twitter, I'm sure, and that doesn't mean I buy underwear with the presidential seal on it. I don't know. So I do it. As I've said, the Philly GI has always been my strongest account. It's not the highest number of followers. Torrance Dalek has the highest for some reason, followed by Black Ring, which makes sense because it's the oldest and has its music and bands and DJs easily get followers and vice versa, easily follow. But then there's Philly GI, which is what I use my best practices on currently, because the other ones not so much. I'm not really doing anything with anything else on the network. So Philly GI is the one that every day I try to promote something. And if I already have it on the page, if it's something that's directly, it's an upcoming concert or it's a regular event in Philadelphia, I say details at phillygoth.net. If it's not, I still try to add the Twitter account of whatever I'm trying to promote. So let's say Laurel Hill Cemetery is doing a lot of things this month, obviously because of Halloween, and not all of their events are on my page, but if there's nothing else going on, I'll say something like, hey, check out, tonight in Philadelphia, Laurel Hill Cemetery is having a walking tour of blank. That's what I did yesterday, I think. And in that particular instance, Laurel Hill didn't retweet me, but let's say they did. Suddenly they have a bunch of followers, maybe didn't know that I existed before. And so hopefully there's some overflow there, that, their followers become my followers, and vice versa. Hence the networking part, hence the entire phrase, social networking. Right? Now, the wife admittedly said she was old school. She went to school for business. She got marketing. This was before social media was a thing. This was before MySpace was even around. So the idea that you want more and more followers is kind of new to her. But at the same time, she has Twitter. She has Facebook. She likes and follows things anyway. So it's kind of weird that, like she's understanding it from the consumer point of view, but not from the producer point of view. Which that's fine. In this situation, she didn't need to understand it. It's not her project. For those of you that may be interested, I am having a contest for KMFDM tickets, 2 free tickets to their November 1st show. The prize will be the winner will be chosen October 19th. So check out phillygoth.net for that. Sorry, I have to pimp. That's what I do. I pimp. This whole cast is about pimping, essentially, right? Writing and pimping. Which, as a writer, when it comes to social networking, I mean, even if you're a very prolific writer, even if you're, I don't know, sending out short stories every couple of weeks, you got 1 to 2 novels a year, you have blog posts all over the place, you still want to promote this somewhere. So, of course, you want to have a social presence. And in between all of that, unless you're constantly producing something daily, like Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola doesn't need to remind you that it exists. It helps. It helps control and maintain the brand. But it doesn't need to remind you that the company itself exists and has products that you may at any time purchase from just about anywhere. You, however, you and your personal brand probably aren't as omnipresent as Coca-Cola. So that's why you got to do stuff like Twitter and Facebook and Pinterest and MySpace 2, etc., Instagram, all these things. You got to do what you feel comfortable with. I mean, that's a completely different cast, of course. But you got to be putting yourself out there in some way to remind people that you're there. There's a writer I work with who, at my suggestion, started tweeting every day. Tweeting something. Just, even if it's a retweet, just something. If you're not writing a blog post, if you're not promoting somebody else, trying to sell your own wares, you're just saying, like, hey, had awesome nachos today. How about you? He said he's seen an increased, he's definitely seen growth of visitors to his website since. He has not seen sales. Sales haven't jumped, not yet, but it's a good sign. It's a good start that the growth is going, and then the sales will follow. It's just the nature of the beast. You kind of have to network, Other things of note, since I do kind of want to get on with my evening. In 2 days, it is my 31st birthday. Happy me. Happy cake day. The wife, my father, and I are going to see the Flyers. My father got Flyers tickets. That'll be awesome. And the Flyers just fired their coach and got Berube. Am I pronouncing his name right? I don't know. Got a new coach and then won a game. The first after 3 consecutive losses and a few preseason losses. That we won't get into that. Not this time. But that should be fun, and I don't know what else we'll do for the birthday weekend, if anything. I don't set my expectations high. I'd like it to be my day. I do try to be a little more selfish on that day. However, I don't expect parties. I don't expect gifts or money or anything. So that way I'm always surprised when people remember and people do give me presents or money. So, oh, and I created a new website for some reason. I still can't explain why. It doesn't have much of a purpose. But somebody I'm friends with on Facebook that posts a lot of political stuff posted this picture that it had a bunch of bullet points of like things that we should be talking about. And it's deforestation, the melting of polar ice caps, the failure of the war on drugs, lies our government tells us, mass animal deaths. It was broken down more like the bee population going down, the bird population going down. That basically anything that flies, the population going down. And then there's a bunch of bullet points of what we actually get from mass media, and of course it's Miley Cyrus twerking, and what people wore, like what designers they wore to this event, and what celebrities had babies and etc. And of course it's disgusting, but it's true, and that's what mass media gives us because it's easy. It's easy to sell, and people say they want a vacation, they want fantasy, they want an escape, but some people never stop escaping, and so that's what mass media caters to. However, something about it just, I don't know, got under my skin, so I decided I made a black-ring.info .net/news and called it number radio or number station, and maybe I'll get its own domain eventually if I figure out its purpose. And I got a nice free theme that's all right, and has enough options for now. And basically just made a bunch of RSS feeds of these topics. I condensed, like I said, instead of one for birds, one for bees, and one for bats, I condensed to mass animal deaths, one for polar ice caps melting, etc. And these are all feeds that are in widgets around the main content. Now, the main content itself is creating posts automatically of more positive things, like how to like what's going on with alternative energy, and how to farm your own food. But basically more positive things. So all the tiny itty bitty bullet points that you can find throughout the site, all negativity pretty much, but they're there. And the highlight to a degree is what to do about the negativity. And it's all automated. There's just one or two things about the theme that I can't really get right just yet. And there's also the fact that while it's automated and it's all stuff that somebody else could find, since it's just pulling in Google feeds, apparently, basically. So there's just the question of why even do it? What happens? So I'm just gonna let it kind of automatically keep populating itself and see what kind of beast it creates, and take it from there. So we'll see. I mean, check it out for yourself if you want. Number station. It's at black-ring.net/news, or like everything else, you can just go to black-ring.net, and all the links to all my projects are pretty much there, as well as ways to contact me. You can tweet me at @coincidence, or like the Facebook page at facebook.com/acoincidence. And of course, hit me up with more questions, or wish me a happy birthday or something. Right now, though, I gotta be productive or do something. It's this first night in at least a week that I've had by myself, and I don't know. I haven't written anything in days, so maybe I should get to that. That sounds good. Writing a bit, and then American Horror Story Coven is my treat tonight after some hard work. That sounds good. So y'all have a good week. Here's to hopefully a more positive Flyer season. Adios.